This podcast has topics in relation to death, suicide and drug use. This may be confronting for some listeners.
As veterans and first responders, we also use some dark humour in this episode. We ask that you keep in mind that dark humour is a timeless and research-supported method.
I just wanted to use that for dark humour.
I was like...
Yeah, I know, you were killing it. You were killing it. Hang on.
Mandatory headbanging.
Yeah.
Love it.
It is funny because until we have any sort of live streaming or anything going on, no one's going to realise that that's what we've been doing. We do have a dude, though, that sends us videos of him headbanging to it every time we start.
Mega fan.
like he listens to your intro and then sends you a picture of him headbanging.
Yeah.
Ben Wilson. There you go.
He's five,
shout out.
five
AKA
messages
Tug.
away from a dick pic.
Well, look,
Definitely.
to be fair, we've spoken about this and we're very disappointed we don't have any dick pics or nudes yet.
Have you got one yet?
We haven't.
No, we
made it.
haven't.
You'll get them sooner or later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few.
Dick pics or nudes?
People do that. Yeah, right. So this is what happens when you put yourself out on the internet, right? This
Yep.
is what happens sooner or later. So someone will... I'm at the point of my, like, what am I? Probably like nearly 50,000 people on TikTok and maybe 11 or 12 on Instagram, right?
Thousand.
So they will jump... Yeah,
Yeah.
1,000.
It's like,
So
'cause
they'll
we
jump over.
talking 11 or 12.
They'll
It's an
jump
actual
over
metric.
and they'll be like, I'm still at the point where I need to do customer service.
Oh.
So I'm like, hey, I'm coming to this place to do a show. So people
Yeah.
will message me and I need to be like, here is the link. I'm very accessible still.
Yep.
So then once a quarter, I reckon I'm a once a quarter dick pic guy. So someone will be like, hey bro, love your stuff. And I go, thanks dude, really appreciate that. And he goes, when are you performing in such and such next? I go, well, actually I'm coming here now. And they go, here you go, bow. And I got to appreciate the hustle, like the little lead up conversation really leads you onto the punch, right?
It jumps up pretty quickly.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Did it make you have more appreciation for like females on Tinder and stuff now?
It made me feel better about my cock, just quite. I'm like, is this the pool?
Would you say you're average or are you
But
like
if you've
the guys?
if you've got a good cock, you're not sending it to randoms you've never met. You're just out there getting
But
rats, right?
it's also really it's confusing now because you've got that wide lens that just automatically does it. No,
You've just blown that light bulb out the back of my head. I'm like, oh, shit, I should have been using this for you.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have the wide lens before. Now it's all about it. So you got to look in the background when you're like, hang on a minute, that TV's warped. That doesn't make any sense.
I hope you get your first dick pic
segue it
soon.
out.
Well,
It's on the right.
Well, it'll
you're
be
on the right path.
It'll be a nice milestone.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
that's not true at all.
Now we'll get bombarded with them.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine that? How many
Ben
Careful
Wilson
what
was
you
his
wish
name?
for.
Yeah. It's that awkward savvy moment brought to you.
A savvy segue.
Yeah. Oh, I
could
like
be our
that
new
savvy
hook.
segue.
That is really good.
Get out of the awkward part of the conversation.
That's going to be our new thing. We're going to have updates of how many downloads we've had, how we've been going this week, how many dick pics we've received.
In the newsletter, how many graphic pictures we got each month.
Girls going to be like, are we involved? No.
We're
It's not. Unfortunately, you
encouraging
can't be.
something we don't
Snatch
want to
chat.
encourage.
You can get a snatch chat.
You know what they can send like dildos. They can get involved. The first strap-on picture we get gets a
I haven't
send
had a
them
strap on yet.
see, this is the
Yet.
thing.
Yeah, I hope I do.
Or do you get things mailed to you though?
It's in
Like
no, I was
any
talking about a
sort of
picture.
No, no.
Gifts
He's
or-
talking
Oh,
electronic
sorry.
mail.
Yeah, okay.
Electronic mail.
No. I wish I got things in the mail because some good old-fashioned analog hate mail would be good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I just get the digital stuff. It doesn't have the same impact.
You've got to put your address out there then.
I wouldn't be as offended by that. It's like a
If
different
someone's
kind of
written,
effort.
handwritten letter would be much better. You
Well,
need a
that-
PO box though.
That denotes they know where you live.
Yeah, you need a PO box. If you had a PO box and you said send me random shit, that'd be ideal.
All I want is anthrax. Yeah, that's when you know you've made it. I want to be like a
Real or just a innocuous powder to give you a bit of a
innocuous.
Yeah.
Well, either way,
I'll
he's
take
snorting.
whatever.
Yeah, either way, he's snorting it, and it's gonna could be good or
I don't know what
bad.
happens if you snort anthrax. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Well, maybe nothing straight away, but I think it ends badly.
Yeah, right.
There's a chef out there that knows already.
Yeah, if you do it, and then for the next 20 minutes you're not up and about, then maybe you should see somebody. 'Cause something's
Hate mail in general is come part and parcel with putting yourself out there and doing stuff. You in the break you recap us.
Yeah, well, we're talking about comments, and we're talking about YouTube and how you can get 1,000 good comments, and it only takes one troll or one insensitive comment, and that's the one that you focus on. And it's
One
hard.
to 1,000, I reckon, is the ratio.
And that's
Bad
a
comments to
ratio-
good comments.
Logistically, how can you not ignore that? Like, the proof is in the ratio, but you still can take it to heart and you start over analysing. I mean, there's always some truth probably in the comment, but you've had a lot more experience with that. How have you addressed it, or how do you ignore that 1 in 1,000?
I haven't always been good at it. Like my first strategy was once it started becoming a thing, as in, I think statistically 1 in 100 people is a psychopath. So by rule of numbers, if you start getting a lot of views.
Yeah. And lots of them are on the internet.
A lot of weirdos, right? And so that's the thing you need to, and a friend of mine said to me, they're like, if you're not getting any hate, you're not doing anything good. You're not achieving, you're just too plain. So you want to be upsetting people. Cool. So my first strategy was kill them with kindness. So first video that ever went sort of viral for me was the one that sort of like changed my attitude on content creation, and sort of like made a video, went to bed, woke up in the morning, 900,000 views.
Wow.
120 messages from people who I knew who had seen this particular thing. Thought I was in trouble.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like. But what does it feel like to go viral? It feels naughty at first, because you're like,
start questioning your decisions.
and then like my notification on my TikTok app was just 99 plus. And I was
Right.
like, what's this? Then looked in and went, so then I cleared that, and then I pressed up once and it reloaded to 99 plus. And I was like, this is crazy. So I'm like, well, I'm going to see what these 700 comments have got to say about this, right? So I'm like, hilarious, good, like all of this amazing stuff. And then the comment that stopped me was someone that just went like, geez, this guy's got a stupid, dumb face. And then that comment had 700 likes.
Yeah, good.
And then underneath that, like this guy had like awoken in the comments other people that were like, yeah, that is a dumb head. And I was like, ow. I was like, that hurt. I was like, that stung. I was on the toilet having a shit. I was like, whoa. I was like, what the fuck? So then that made me not see the 100,000 likes, if that made sense. So then I would then reply, thanks guys. Now you mention it, pretty dumb. Like
Yep.
just
Yeah.
that was getting some good traction, and people were liking that. And then one day I had a bad day. And I made this video, and this is when I realize that not everyone's an asshole. Is that some people are just trolls, and they're in it for the sport, right? So I've got an eye condition, so my eyes are quite red, and a lot of the time on my videos, people will be like, "Check out how stoned this guy is." Right?
Not going to lie, that's what I thought when I went to your show.
Yeah, right. Just have a stage lights fire him up, right?
Yeah.
Have you got a certificate for that? I mean,
Yeah, he's got glaucoma.
I don't.
good throwaway excuse.
I don't care enough to think. But yeah, like, so that's the thing so there's every now and then people are like, check out this fucking woo. And I'm like, great skill to have as a normal person. And so I'm having a shitty day about something, and someone commented on one of these videos like, where'd you get your pink eye, right? And I was like,
You're not supposed to be supporting this, Al.
I was like, fuck this. Like, it's funny.
He loves
Also,
it. He loves it.
Quite a good comment.
Yeah.
And so I messaged back straight away. I said, well, your mum doesn't wipe her ass.
Oh,
like in the
damn.
comment section.
Yep.
And then this guy messages back almost immediately, but like, bro, you replied.
Yeah. Yeah.
He goes, man, I've been watching your shit for ages. I love it. All that sort of stuff. And I
Yeah.
was like, cool. And he's like, when are you coming to Sydney next? I'll come and watch your show. And I was like, this guy, he was just, it's
Yeah.
the internet.
You're like, I've already made a
chill out.
voodoo doll about you, man.
And
Like,
now I've
now we're friends.
I've come to realize that it's really helpful as well. So as the way that like algorithms work,
Yeah.
if people want to punch on with each other,
Any comment's good.
it's great. So I really encourage it, feel good about it. I know if something's kicking off, especially if it's bad, that it's going to go a bit more of a country mile, which is cool. But now it took me a while to come to that thing, and it was only through sort of like exposure and failure and doing it all the time and all that sort of stuff, right? I heard a really great analogy for this the other day. Someone said, if you want to play football, sometimes your fans boo you.
Yep.
True.
And like if you can't just go into the shed at halftime and go, I'm not going back out.
Yeah.
You got to go back out, right? That's
Yeah.
what internet criticism feels like. If I was to get some bad feedback, I can't be in the sheds being like, I'm not going out and finishing. You got to finish the fucking game. That's what winners do, right?
Yep.
So,
I like that because the crowd, the 999 are in the crowd at the footy game, so you go back out there. But in the virtual crowd, you don't actually see them. You only focus on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also see Joffa in the crowd.
There's joffers on the
Yeah,
internet.
you can see the joffers.
Definitely.
So you had a good one during your political stint too.
I had-
Oh my God, that would have been
that
a
spray-
fucking magnet.
Was it
'Cause
the
that is a
gym spray paint
swamp.
guy?
Spray paint. Yeah.
was his-
Meat axe.
Medax, yeah.
So this dude does.
Hang on, sorry, what?
Yeah, no, that's his. Well, that's his I don't know, it's his Tandle or tag or whatever it is, but he does like these amazing airbrush work things. And like I've seen his work in a bunch of different gyms and stuff. They're just like these massive murals that he paints, amazing airbrush work. And then old mate jumped on a thing that I'd been on, and he was like, "All cops are bastards" or something like that.
Is
Like,
this meat axe?
yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, he's a dickhead or something. Why would you even listen to this bloke?" And I was like, "Oh, I love what this bloke does."
no,
and he's
you
just
respect
can be. Yeah. And I was like, and I said, you know what? So be it. He doesn't know me. I don't know why I'm offended. And I'm like, but I do know his work and I love it. So I was like, mate, I really love your artwork. It's great. And then he jumped on back. He goes, "Oh, thanks, mate. Thanks so much."
It's like one of the greatest flips just in two messages.
I'd love to have him on here because he does some really amazing artwork.
Can we get meat axe on? Because this is a thing.
I'll tag him.
Okay.
We'll tag him.
He
and then
better
we'll see
live
what
up
happens.
to the handle. It's a great name.
Meat axe
Well,
is a great,
Don't know that.
great name.
Don't know that I want to invite a meat axe to my house. We'll see how that goes.
You
It's
might
probably,
brush it.
He sounds
probably an
affiliated.
ironic name though.
Yeah, but he sounds affiliated, I'll be honest. It's like, I dare say he'll be here on a bike at some point. But
So
yeah, he
all
was great.
publicity is good publicity.
Like to a point. I mean, I don't think you want to be like, oh, child porn, all publicity. Like, I think there's limits of what's good, but I think
You ever sent a dick pic back? Is that like a good reversal burn?
no,
It's not a two-way communication.
but it could be.
I love that though.
I mean, I think that I thought about
Well,
it.
Maddie told us he sends moon pictures.
Oh,
back
it
to
does.
people.
Well, ISIS keeps sending him death messages.
I've
It's
got a
probably
couple
little
of
bit
death
different.
threats.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because I do military content on TikTok.
Ah, good.
I think, I mean, when you say death threat, I mean, I think some young people from the Middle East have been like, oh, I'm going to feel tough for 2 seconds and
Yeah.
send a message.
Yeah, that's fair though. Good on him.
Because, yes, people was like, cut your head off was the one one of the ones I got. We're going to come to your show and cut your head off. And I just replied, I said,
okay.
yeah, but here's the ticket link. you got to like purchase a ticket.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
But
I can't
also-
get you in for free.
Oh, and how viral are you going to go? Like that's,
If I died by beheading,
I mean, the death doesn't really, like,
this
the longevity
podcast
not
get a lot
great.
more fucking listens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're not in it for us, but
Meat
you know.
axe, if you're out there,
Yeah.
get on it.
We'll buy a few extra tickets if anyone wants to come
Yeah.
along. And
No, but like, imagine people come up and they start screaming or whatever it is. Everybody's in there. You've already got your cameras set up,
done.
and then you have a win, and then because you've got to have a win because otherwise your longevity doesn't work all that well. You know,
probably
like,
get taken down off X though, so no one might see it.
only for a bit.
But you get turn everything into a win. That's the thing as well about
Yeah.
the online game. But also, like, it's the internet. Fucking cares,
Yeah,
right? It's a cesspool.
yeah.
It's an absolute putrid pit of everyone's voice yelling at once, and I want a piece of the action. So
I want the I like the creative ones though. Like if you've gone out of your way to make it, like I brought this up in Maddie's one, but like this lady was on there and she's like, I hope you have lots of children and they're pathological liars and they grow up to like have grandkids that you never see or something like that. Like it was something I was like, wow.
wicked.
It was savage.
Yeah.
And
But that was from a clip, wasn't it? A 7-second short. And that
yeah,
was her,
So I
her
spoke to
response.
like Bogan. We were on this, like, we was literally on the same team as them, and he just put a clip up there saying, like, and I was taking the piss. I was like, oh, it's always a good day when you get to shoot some protesters in the back or something like that. But the part before that was like, no cop waits up and says this, you know, but they're just like, "Ba-ding, that'll work,"
Brilliant.
which was great. It went really well, but it led to like that's when people were like, "Oh, I hope he dies." This bloke here, bootlicker this, and rah rah rah. And I was like, "Mate, literally 2 days beforehand, you guys were all commenting. You're like, oh, it's about time cops stood up for people and stuff."
Get a lot of like, you're a war criminal
Oh yeah,
from like young people that don't know much about anything, and I'm like,
And you're a
not me.
peacekeeper.
I'm like, I smoked one joint in Timor.
you're like, I'm a criminal.
I like
but-
bought like maybe 8,000 Viagra's. That's like the extent of my. Well, I'm like Ben Robert Stiff. Like, I'm just like that is the extent of my crimes. You know what I mean?
Is that one you've been working on, or? Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
write that out. We're gonna get that up before he does.
So I just, it's fun. Whatever. I mean, it drives what I do, and it's a part of the game. You don't want to win the game. Don't play.
So how do you get to, and say from where we are, from where they hurt to where you are? Is it just you've got to go through a bit of repetition? You just have to cop some of those until you get that perspective?
Yeah. I would like
no
to.
short
I would
circuit
like
for
to
it?
tell you that there is this secret like thing you can do, and this silver bullet. But like, I like everything that is worthwhile in life, it unfortunately doesn't work that way. It only works through feeling how you feel to the feeling,
Yep.
moving on, and then just going forward, right? It's like, don't let it, because what it's really doing is going, what you've said to yourself is right. I'm not good enough for this. And this one person has said it, and that must be the majority of the thing. But think about how the internet works. I rarely comment on anything, and I watch a lot of internet.
Yep.
How many people of the consumer, the small percentage of people that then leave a comment, to then the small percentage of people that is a negative comment, like you're worrying about 0 point something of an audience. So I will try and put the same amount of thought process and emotion into dealing with that percentage. That percentage of my emotions goes into how I feel about it, because I would rather focus on the people that like it. And I go, this is a cool thing to think. I did make a mistake once. I think I'm not happy about this, but and this was a good learning curve for me as a content creator. But someone essentially had done a comment that was like, "You're a war criminal." So I was like, well, on TikTok, you can grab the comment and reply to the comment, which then tags that person in to the whole process. So I've been like, hey, mate, like pretty good video. Like, hey, mate, just letting you know, like, here's this witty remark about this thing, which then I'd kind of like, whoa, 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 to people who follow me to go jump on this guy. And he didn't take it that well, because I essentially whistled to a bunch of dogs.
Yep. Release the hounds of war.
I didn't feel good about it after it was said and done, because I'm not on it a lot. So I went back like a day later and I was like, oh wow, I would have said it differently. And this guy's like on each comment going like, fucking you, boom, boom. So I've ruined his whole day. He's just gone from living to like saying something on a video to now defending his position from.
Well, because he would have woken up with 100,000 things.
And I was like,
and he would have been like, I'm in trouble.
I spoke to my partner and I said, I don't know how I feel about this. And she goes, yeah, pretty. I mean, you didn't expect that to happen. And that's okay. But just know now that you can do this, and don't, if that's not how you feel and that's not how you want to have this relationship with this thing of which you have fallen into and now have, sort of weird faux influence, then don't behave that way.
I think that's the thing with celebrity. Like celebrities really now, like they make a flippant comment, and you look at the like stalkers and all that sort of stuff. There are people there that will take you 100% legitimate.
Yeah,
and you'll be like, oh, I hate that bloke. I wish somebody just punched his face in. And next minute, you'll see on the news, old mate's been assaulted. And you're like, oh,
totally. Yeah,
and you're like, I actually did not. It was just a passing comment, but yeah,
it's like Trump saying like, I didn't make him go to the Capitol. It's like, yeah, but you gave him enough fire. I don't ever want to put fire on to be like, I didn't mean that. Yeah, it's like you got to be careful. I can understand why people don't want to have an opinion on things.
Yeah,
I've seen on a smaller scale on YouTube as well. Like even if you don't bite back, that sometimes your community will come to your defense too. So you get that one comment and you go, "Oh, that hurt a bit," and then they go, "No, they told you this was the disclaimer for that," and you're like, "Huh." Like sometimes that can be a bit of a pride thing, but then that can descend into chaos pretty quickly as well.
I think that's when you make it though, because that's when your comments are going off the algorithm instead of then like, oh, people are biting on this one, and then you do it. So then if there's like a war in your comments that you're not even part of, that's when you just get some popcorn, I reckon.
Well, I recently, I think in January, made a video. The crux of the video on TikTok was that Americans can't understand the word digger. They think we're saying something else. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
300,000 views. Stayed still there. One American guy just went, "We think you all sound like children anyway," right? Next minute, like now it's sitting about like it's not nearly 1 million, right? Because the comments are now no one's actually watching my video.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just fucking they're in the witch hunt, right? And then everyone's just been like, well, yeah, at least we can fucking send our kids to school. And I'm like, I'm happy for the.
So do you feel okay? So you didn't reply and retag that. Do you feel okay if it's happening without your input?
Yeah. That's not mine. Yeah. Everyone seems to be having a good time.
Yeah.
I will. When you run the account, you can have some comments will get flagged, being like, this might be bullying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I get to like approve and disprove them, and sometimes I just let the floodgates go off. Like, yeah. You're fighting amongst you. Everyone. Sometimes I'll look at their accounts and just say, one of these people, like a kid or
Yeah.
a mentally ill person. Oh no, two adults.
Yep.
Off
Let
you
it
go.
go.
And I'm like,
Well, I think when you see what people are writing to, you're like, are they mentally stable adults? Sometimes.
but that stuff is like let's say it made 600,000 more views.
Yep.
400,000 of them might just have been from people that have been like, because then you start getting when you know you've got a good video, you'll get a comment that has someone else tagged in it and it says these comments,
Yeah, yep.
which means don't worry about the video.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Get
Go
into
to
this, right?
Yeah.
come for the comment section.
But then it might have created 100,000 people more that would watch it and then might then be like, I actually really enjoy what this guy's talking about.
Well, I find that if there's some good comment, like my mates will send me something and they'll be like, comment section will not disappoint.
Yeah.
I just go straight to the comments.
Yep.
I don't even see the reel. But then because you're reading through it, and you're like, oh, wow. And you can hear the reel going over and over.
Yeah.
So it's,
replays.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I must have listened to this 15 times now. And then I'm like, this is actually pretty funny. And then I'll watch it. But I've already gone through 400 comments before I've actually decided to watch
Does
the
that
reel.
translate to a follower that then might watch the next video fresh?
Yeah. But you got to be, I think you have to, it's important to behave the way you want the world to be, right? So I could make a video tomorrow that gets 10 million views.
Yeah.
That video would be called The Real Reason Why China Wants Australia to Have Trans Army.
Oh, yeah.
I can do that if I want. And I can be misinformed. I can just make shit up.
Oh, well, when we clip that, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So, but that's you got to just be careful to what you're putting out to the world. Like, is this something that I actually believe in, or do I want some ticks and likes and things?
Yeah, there's shock value in the
this
news.
stuff doesn't actually change who you are. All it does is make you appear. It's not real. None of it's real. So you have to do what you like, especially in something. I'm trying to get people to like what I do so they'll come and watch me do my art, which I really care about. So I need to be, this word is overdone in everywhere these days, but you have to be really authentic to what you believe to be entertaining or add value. Because if you're just making stuff that's upsetting people, you're probably a cunt. Right?
And that
You probably have no.
Does that get us cancelled on Spotify, that word?
Nah.
Nah,
All right.
good. We're many
Lessons
minutes
learned.
in.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
Also, like those sort of clickbait clips wouldn't translate to having a long show that would be worth people seeing either.
Exactly. It's just if you care what people think about a small number in the corner of a video that you've made, do that.
Yep.
But if you care about making something that you think is going to leave the space that you've been in a better place when you've walked off, in a room, in a comedy club, in a conversation at a cafe, then don't worry about that shit. Like, just make things that you like, right? Have conversations that mean something.
Yep.
Do something that means something all the time, and I think you have a better life.
So we've heard you talk about comedy as like a form of antidepressant, if that's correct. So how does that work?
Because take comedy out of the situation and put in another word that's purpose, and that is like 20 times more powerful than an antidepressant.
Yep.
And for me, it was comedy, but for you, it might be podcasting. For you, it might be I've created this small business and we can put a portion of profits towards this one thing. To someone else, it could be I restore furniture and I take a photo and it's really cool. And I've got like a small community. My parents rescue greyhounds and they have like Perth greyhounds rehoming, fucking some niche Facebook page, right? And they love it, man. And like they have like 2 dogs at a time and they take this dog from a track and they put it in their house and then they teach it how to not kill stuff and then they put it to a home. And that has been the best thing they could do for their like entire, like they have greyhound friends now who are all weird. They went to America to see how they do greyhound rehoming and found their community. And before that, they were a bit lost. Like they both worked sort of, like my old man was an engineer. Like, you don't get me wrong, like earned a lot of money, but that's not what life's all about. And mum kind of just did a dead end job. And then all the kids left home, and then they had their own sort of challenges amongst that sort of thing.
Like,
and then
who are we
that
now?
sort of stuff. Identity, right? So for me, it was, what's something that I can do that makes me proud?
And what is
Pride
it?
is so powerful.
Is it the laughs? Is it the getting people together to do something outside of their job?
For me,
What creates the purpose in the comedy? as your thing?
It's bringing imagination to life.
Okay.
So I can find an idea that I think is got something in it. Comedy has to be original. You can't just go up there and do Kevin Hart's set. Like there's no cover comedians.
That's true.
There's no tribute comedians.
That's fair call.
Everything is just your perspective. So I got to be like, I've got this idea. Bring the idea into reality, and then you're exhibiting it, right? And that is that's cool. It makes me feel like I've done something.
That's kind of back to the art, isn't it?
It's art.
You've created something.
Yeah, and I think ideally, I think you want to be creating more than you consume. Okay, so if you look at other art, i.e. TV shows, movies, and all that sort of stuff, right? So today we're going to do 2.5 hours of podcast, right? We are creating. So now we have 2.5 hours worth of consuming that we can do.
So there's an exchange.
Yeah. So not everyone can be the creator.
I've been in a massive deficit then.
But you're on an awakening now, right?
I owe some creating.
Yeah. But if you can live your life creating more than you consume, I think that's a lot of peace if you are geared towards being that way, right? Because there is only a small portion of society that can create.
Does body-worn camera work? Is that part of it? Because I do have a few hours of that.
Freedom of information.
You and Raptor 13 are just...
Oh, can you do that on Freedom of Information? Can you get your own body-worn camera footage?
Yeah.
I'd watch that channel.
That'd be
Good comments.
Oh, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would
It'd be some great comments. And then I'll get a PO box about my only stuff.
The next generation of the Cops TV show is just a body-worn camera YouTube channel.
Mate, I was on Bread Gang. Have you heard of Bread Gang?
Yeah.
Bread Gang?
How'd you get on
Not
that?
sure what Bread Gang is.
Where they go around interviewing people outside clubs.
Yeah. So they try and find the loosest town in Australia and stuff like that. They're like a DJ crew.
Okay.
The last shift I had before I left the police, we went to I'm on this YouTube one. They're like, oh, the cops got called to our party, but they were sick. I'm like, so good review. I was happy with that, but we went there. It was nuts, mate. We got there, and then people started nuding up, and then it was all sorts of. My body-worn camera footage would be great. That's why I want Freedom of Information.
How long does the body cam footage exist for?
It depends on what the job is. They delete it after certain
forever,
times.
Essentially.
Yeah, like a legitimate thing, it'll be there forever. But
so is there like this might sound like a silly question, but is there like a really, really large police hard drive?
There would have to be.
Like a building?
It's probably still on Amazon.
Oh, is there a building? As in, can I go in there and find it?
Because like, like Facebook and Google, they have a building that is essentially like a hard drive.
A server. Yeah, the whole building's a server.
It would still be outsourced, I would imagine.
Yeah, it'll be outsourced to somewhere
and
that's
it's got 2-star review.
Yeah.
It's under the ocean near Tasmania or something.
Yeah, there's different ones. So like if you just have a normal interaction with a copper, I think it's like 30 days or something, it'll stay there. Because if someone makes a complaint or something, they're like, well, old mate said something mean to me, they'll go on and have a look. But if there's like an indictable offence or something, it keeps it forever. It just depends on what the event was.
So we were talking about Jimmy Carr before being a philosopher.
Yes.
And you've just dumped some philosophy on us. So
Comedians are thinkers.
create more than you consume. That's going to take a while to settle in, but
that a
that's
t-shirt?
pretty cool.
It's just a hard, fast rule. The way I look at it sometimes is like if you've ever counted calories, you're like, I've had a big weekend, so I need to have like a good weekday of giving, of creating something. And it's not always about the output, right? Like, so let's say this podcast goes for 2.5 hours. The thought and the thinking and the speaking to each other might last for like 6 or 7 hours or whatever, the clips and the stuff, right? So that's all. It depends on how deep you want to get into it, but like there's like the universe is a thing, and whether what name you give that to it, whether it's like God, frequency, energy, or karma, every culture's got a thing for it. And I think it was why artistic creation has a similar thing. So you just got to make sure that you're showing up and giving your creation the honor that it deserves and enough time. And you're not just a taker. You're not a leech. Don't be like a leech.
A linger.
Don't be a linger.
Yeah.
Be a fucking creative linger.
It seems to tie as well to, there's the thing where if you're thinking about yourself, you're at home scrolling all the time, you can be quite depressed, you're internalized.
Yep.
But what you've said there, if you're creating, you can't really be in your own head. You're doing something productive, and it's kind of the definition of like doing well if you're creating things and getting out in the world.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. and on that as well, you'll find what you're looking for. You'll find how you feel. Sorry, if you're jealous, like bitter and all that sort of stuff, you want to jump into the internet, it'll find you, or you'll see it in the mass, and it'll all you'll see. But if you start creating in something else, that'll make those other things in the background of what you're consuming, you'll just pay less attention to.
I think if you look at what your algorithm is, that's literally what you've been looking for.
Yeah.
Because it'll just amplify it. So like if you jump on there and there's a whole bunch of like negative Nancy stuff, you need to start searching other topics because clearly you've gone down a rabbit hole and Google's like, hey mate, you're a sad sack. Here's some sad stuff.
Can you hit delete on your algorithm and
it knows you.
Yeah.
It hits hard.
Yeah.
You can say what you are all you want, then you jump on YouTube or whatever and you'll say what you are. It's like
that's why I think because it's the bar for being like good or great is so low as well now that like if you want to create something and just show up for it, you can achieve that because all of these things that are in place. I don't want to be that guy that's like social media is bad because essentially I'm making a living off it. But please stay on there and watch my videos. Yeah. But that's sucking away so much people's focus that they're not creating anything.
Well, I think what you were saying before with so much of your stuff, like seeing comedy live versus seeing it online is so much different. But because you can see it online, people don't go and see you.
Yeah.
And you're like, but it's not the same.
I'm finding, I find that as a challenge in my business so far, that it's like if I can just get the people that like me on a screen somewhere out of the house, I'd be very, very wealthy. But I'm sitting at like probably almost like maybe 1 to 100 at the moment.
Ratio of people coming to see you.
Yeah. To the point where I was in Darwin recently and I went to the shopping centre there because someone told me I had the best aircon. And because that was a big military town, I was getting stopped for photos. It doesn't happen very often. Like you get stopped for photos and you're like, that. First of all, that feels nice. It feels really good. And then I was like, hey, you coming to the show? And I was doing 5 shows and they were like small places sold out. And they were like, no. And I was like, no one who wanted to like have my time and energy were coming to the thing. And I was like, I would like to know how to empower people. I don't want to complain about society because that's just a reflection of us. But it'd be awesome to learn how to empower people to come and support you.
So they want to stop and have a photo with you. But how does it translate to them coming on Tuesday night and sitting there and consuming?
I think it's a lack of understanding about how, like, you don't get any money from it. There's no money in attention.
Yeah.
Besides, like, can you come to the show? Like, you watch a video like twice, nothing happens to me.
Yeah. It
just changes some numbers around, but it doesn't, like, I might have a blue tick next to my name, but that doesn't mean anything for my bank account, right?
Yeah.
I'm still below the poverty line, right? Yeah. So I need them to come to the thing because I'm selling the seat to the thing.
Yeah.
And really, I just started the phone thing to make more stage thing.
Yeah,
that's your marketing.
Yeah,
so you're not staying on the internet. You're trying to convert it to people in seats to enjoy the performance.
Well, I have to because right now I'm turning down like brand stuff because I think that's just not for me. I don't want to unless I know it or what it does. Or are we all going to make some fucking cash out of this, or just you? Like, you know what I mean? Like.
We gave you a free savvy. I don't know what you want from us.
Which is delicious, by the way, and full of it's only 5.9 calories.
Current code.
Are there any comedians that have brand deals? Is that a thing? Yeah,
shitloads. I think they're Hamish and Andy. I was looking at this the other day. They're like some new streaming thing.
Oh, Hubble.
Yeah, okay.
Dude,
Hubble.
That would be worth. I would be surprised if they're not taking home less than $1 million a piece.
Do you want to start some internet beef with Hamish and Andy?
Yeah. I think
Andy Lee kissed my girlfriend when I was 14. Asked her out on Monday. Wednesday, they went to a Macca's party.
Was she 14?
He made out with it.
Then
yeah, we all were.
Oh, okay.
Far out. I'm glad we clarified that.
That's fucking serious.
Then that's who you need to fight at our event then.
Yeah.
You need to box.
Yeah, we're doing an exhibition match.
With Andy Lee.
Yep.
Yeah, right. He'd have some reach on him, I reckon.
Huh?
He'd have some reach on him.
Win or lose, that'd still be a win for me, I reckon.
I would prefer if you lose. So we should
I know you are. You try me. She was trying to get me to fight an actual professional. He's like, "Oh, fight Matty Morris." I was like, "Are you?"
Think how much you've stitched me up already. I've got to start getting.
I'm actually going to hospital though, mate. Like you might have your feelings hurt. You're actually trying to get me bashed. Anyway, that's a side note between internet beef with me and Al.
Yeah.
So getting them to the thing.
Yep.
Because I don't want to be
That's the coffee, you might say, Bersa.
Yeah, we would. That's our little thing. Because we were like, Black Rifle Coffee Company, you're like, what's our coffee? So it's always like, what's the coffee? Because there are actually 400 brands of coffee, so there's no point getting into coffee.
Yeah, veteran coffee. It's a new idea. We've never been done before.
Yeah, exactly. First responders also not doing
shout
coffee.
out to Warfighter Coffee who do sponsor me. But yeah.
Oh, ouch. We've got 3 zeros.
Fight.
Yeah.
We should have settled this once and for all. We should have 8 cups of each one's coffee.
Yeah,
and
blind
see
coffee
who shits
tasting.
themselves first.
Oh, okay. That's not where I was going. But yeah, I was like doing a blind taste test. But yeah, the shit yourself challenge. That'd be great. That'll be a hashtag.
Hal's way too mature for this conversation.
I know. Al tries to keep this on the rails, and I've got the buttons and everything.
We have our roles. I'm not doing mine well today.
Can we actually go back to you leaving chefs? And I know this is a completely shit segue because I've just jumped into it, but you leaving being a chef to go to comedy. Obviously, you did a couple of open mic nights.
Yep.
You left the army to become a chef. That was all in. That's a massive jump. And then
that felt easy.
It did?
Yeah. I think it was my first one. Well,
your first one was joining the army.
But I was like a kid. I mean, I was 18, right?
Which is massive for some people, though.
Not for me. I was in Perth. All of my friends were becoming tradies. I didn't see that for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but without sounding arrogant, I knew I could be something greater than I was. Like even when I was a kid, I was like, I want to do something cool. I don't know what it is, but this isn't where I am right now is not for me. Yep. I need to be something. And then I saw the military and I watched that video that they show you and I was like, wow, what's the catch, guys? And,
get your edge.
Yeah.
Then I was just like, if I sign this dotted line, I can just throw it all. You know when you play cards and you have 7 cards, right? And then if you don't like your cards, you can throw those cards and you get 7 more.
Yeah.
That's what I did with my life to join the army. I was like, I don't like these cards. Give me 7 more. And then
but
I was
how
like,
exciting is that,
and I was like, holy shit, I got 7 more.
The 7 new cards thing, even in the game, you're like, this is exciting. It's like, I could have a royal flush.
New
or
state,
whatever.
new person,
It's only 4
new haircut.
years.
Who cares? I didn't care. I was like, fuck yeah, this is sick.
Yeah.
Loved that change. And then
So to the chef?
To the chef, I was like fired up. Like, you love this change.
Yeah.
Cool as. This is going to be easy.
Yeah.
Compared to like sitting in a picket puddle.
And do you reckon it was, and because it didn't come that hard to you, do you reckon that was because you were so motivated to succeed at something else and not just be army? Or
it was almost like a conversion of skills that just worked out where I was like passionate about one thing, pretty talented as a chef as well. I could taste really well, to put it down into I had a good palate is what they call it.
Okay.
Once
probably
again,
important.
pretty gay.
Yeah.
And in a non-homosexual way.
Oh yeah, I can taste.
We're bringing it back.
Yeah.
And, so I could taste things and be like, wow, this could go with this. And I could do it and I could work well. And then putting that with sort of like just the resilience and the structure of a military was like the perfect mix to be good at something. And I fucking really liked being good at something.
Yep.
I was like, when you were better than your peers is fucking so
7 out of 10 good.
8.
What?
So you reckon you're an
as
8? You're
a
an 8.
chef, you're an 8 or more?
Oh, I was almost a 10 with my apprentice peers when I started. So I went to culinary school. So I didn't do an apprenticeship. And then when I got out, I had 3 months left of an apprenticeship to finish. So I did that in a workplace and then immediately went on a competition for the top 30 apprentices in Australia, for which I came 5th, and then got offered a job in Melbourne and moved. So I was just like, fuck yeah, let's leave. Let's get out of the pleb dust. I want to be like with the big dogs, if that makes sense. And then when I was with the big dogs, and even though I was a junior, I was like keeping up and I was like, I feel at home here. So that felt easy. It was just an easy transition. It wasn't until the comedy one was hard.
Yeah.
Because people don't talk about this in the military. I think it was similar in the police force, but it's like the military is kind of easy because they're like, be here at this time, wear this, we're doing exactly this, bring that. By the way, this is the minute you get paid on this day. And if you've got any problems, these 10 people all have a specific job that can help you with your teeth, your pay, your paperwork. Like you have like a structure of like.
But more than that, these people will tell you to go and get your teeth looked at. And then you go there and they're like, you need to do this and this is your appointment.
Shit doesn't exist out in the real world.
No. And your sergeant's like, hey, mate, you have a dentist appointment at this time.
Oh, sorry. Fuck. Oh, God, I forgot.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I.
This is where you live. This is where you eat. This is what time you eat.
Started doing stand-up comedy, I was like, holy shit, I got to tell these jokes, which is already hard. But then if I wanted to, like 1,000 people that start comedy get to like where I am. So I'm really like lucky in that. And then like out of where I am, maybe like 1 in 100 will be like in a theatre, like a big theatre.
Yep.
So
how big's a big theatre, do you reckon?
2,000.
Like what's the biggest audience you've had so far?
600. Yeah.
Yep.
But like that's not for me. I'm on a bunch of like with other people.
Yep.
I mean, going to like the Palais to see human beings are going, I want to see this other human being.
Yeah. I went
Of
to
all the
Jeremy
other
Piven
human
there.
beings in the world. They're like, I want to see because I like his brain. And that's like touring American comedians. That's like that level is very rare
So
amongst comedians, not just the population of human beings, right?
I haven't done, like I hadn't been to any comedy in years, and then yours was coming out, I think you were on the weekend, and then Jeremy Piven was at the Palais on like the Wednesday before that, and that was amazing. I was like, I haven't been to the Palais. And then I went there and I'm like, this is an amazing theatre.
It's cool.
And then I was like, imagine being on that stage and just everybody's there for you. But he seemed so humble. Like, I don't know that, I think somebody might have just dared him to do it almost, because he seemed like, he was like, I told you all I could do it. And I was like, Jim, I'm like, bro, you've been in that many, you're on Entourage. What do you mean I told you could do it? Like, you're successful. But I mean, I don't know if he'd been doing stand-up before, but I think he's jumped into it after being in movies or whatever. But
it feels good when you're the only person in the room facing a different direction. It's cool.
So it's better to be like the headline at your comedy festival show or a support at the 600 person?
What would I prefer?
Yeah, what's been a better experience?
Headline.
Yep.
Yeah.
so you'd
So
rather
then
do
you got a
your
headline at
audience
the
that might be
theatre.
smaller, and then but being an opener at 600, but for someone else.
I would. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm in it for my going back to why I do it is the imagination to the thing
Yeah.
process. Some people are happy being an entertainer. Some people work cruise ships, so it's something
Yeah.
I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
Because that's like
Have you done that at all? That
I've been offered it. It's a
Yeah.
good living.
I feel like it's like wedding photography, you know, for photographers.
That's it, man.
Yeah,
So do you want to?
like it's good cash,
And if
it's
you
steady
do it
income.
at midday, 2 p.m. and 6 p.m, does it?
I'm not in it for the cash, man. I'm not. And I'm in it to make something of myself. I think. I know I'm going to hedge my bets, and I hope this doesn't come across as arrogant because I'm not trying to. It's just proper belief in myself. But I'm going to roll the dice to see if I can. All of that quick money that you can be as an entertainer,
Yep,
I'm going to try and make it in one night, one time.
yep.
It might be 25 years away, but it will be like I made this,
Well, that's what
and I
people
didn't take
say
a shortcut.
about the overnight success
And
thing.
now it's me.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he's done 400 shows, and then one show, one person saw him who then got him a massive gig.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, overnight success. And you're like, he's done the hours, mate, until beforehand.
And I'm happy to fail getting there
Yep.
because I think if you aim for that, and if you missed it by 20%, it's still pretty fucking cool. Like it's still pretty big.
And the lessons you learn failing is probably the biggest thing you take away from it, which you don't, at the time, you're like, this is shit. I hate myself. This is all, what have I done? I should have just stayed being a brickie or whatever it was I was doing. But then you're like, yeah, I've learned, hang on a minute. Now I was almost there actually. If I've tweaked this, I reckon that would have fixed it. And then next time you're like, geez, I reckon I wasn't too far off.
Yep.
And then
It's like a lot of things in life are possible with persistence. Most people quit at the first or second sort of hurdle. And doing comedy has allowed me to realize that there's 654,000 hurdles.
So you started on open mic nights, and then nobody laughed the first few times.
You sign up. There's how for the uninitiated and the listeners, right? So you imagine going
and
to
for
a
Al,
pub
because he's
with-
getting into it.
imagine to a Al, yeah. By the way, I've got a gig for him.
Yep.
And
Good.
so you're in a pub with a sticky floor.
Yep.
Generally, there's a whole bunch of people in the room that don't know that comedy is about to occur.
Yep.
And there is a piece of paper on a bar. And on that piece of paper is a pen that says sign up. And there's like 1 through to like 40 or maybe 50. And anyone can write their name on it. and just say whatever they want on stage for 4 minutes. And it is a fucking train wreck. Absolute train
Is it
wreck.
all comedy or are people doing all sorts of stuff?
Dude, there is slam poetry. There is spoken word. There is...
Mine?
You think it up.
Can you do mine?
Probably seen it.
It's literally the opposite of mine.
They've got their own scene.
Yeah.
So there's clownings and mime. We don't talk to each other.
It's like rollerblades and skateboards.
That's it.
Yeah.
We don't associate with each other. Then there's improv, which is fucking cringe. Like,
Yeah,
early
like Thank
improv
God
is
You're Here.
bad. And
Like
but like that's the best improv in the world.
Yeah.
That is the actual pinnacle.
Yeah.
And imagine like 21-year-old art students from uni in Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Anyway, so you just go up there and say your 4 minutes, and the audience is like, they are pretty hostile. They enjoy people bombing more than they enjoy people doing well. And
So can you embrace that, or does it still suck when you're bombing?
Because I
It
feel like
sucks when
you've
it bombings.
I feel like you've walked into a room full of trolls. Like they've gone there to rag on people. Yeah.
yep. And the first time you win one of those crowds is glorious. Yeah, it's like Maximus in Gladiator.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But when he's chained to that black guy, and they're like, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
And then he's like, watch this, fellas.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. You know, and he's like, yeah, you're not
And
entertained.
the crowd's almost quiet. And
They're like, oh,
and
we
then
just came
everyone
here to
cheers.
see a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, fucking good, guys. I've been working on this for
Yeah.
years in the German front. And so that's a good time. I miss that. I mean, I don't get to do that anymore as
Yeah.
well.
Did you
Those days are behind
enjoy
me.
that enough on the way?
There was a bit of Stockholm syndrome. I mean, the other, and I'm going to use my fingers here, comedians, you're all in it together. And you're like, there is a camaraderie in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
There is a Stockholm syndrome of just pain and what are you doing here? There's people that should be in therapy that are just doing this instead. And
Yeah.
you're like, dude, you got problems.
Yeah.
There is the guy, there's the guy that just broke up with his girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, huh, I'm not drinking too much.
Yeah.
And then he's just started doing stand-up comedy.
Having a breakdown.
And he's
for
like,
4
yeah, and then
minutes.
anyway, she's like, you're such a child. And you're like, oh. There's the person who's going to do like 10 to 15 gigs and they bring all of their friends every single time and they suck, but their friends are making them get through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just weirdos that have been doing it for 5 or 10 years and never got anywhere as well. But the one I used to go to was like pros would come down as well. So you would be
gotcha.
like
That's
train
not
wreck
right.
for 12 people and then
I thought you meant
Dave Hughes would
hookers.
walk in with a notepad
I was like, wow.
and be like, here's this new stuff I've got.
Yep.
Like, oh yeah, and it was like this spectacle of like,
But is like
Creation.
Dave Hughes' new stuff crap with one good one in there, or like at his level, are they all pretty good, but there's still some standouts that he'll develop?
it depends who you're around. I mean, like when he's performing with people like that, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But if he's, your new stuff's always bad
Yeah.
because you're like, is there anything funny about necrophilia? we on board here, guys? And then the audience is like, actually, no.
It's just live exploring.
Hey, like,
It's-
when
and
you
that's-
see him, scratch it.
And a lot of comedians will also say they're like, I'm just really looking forward to doing some new stuff. And they're like, oh, and you just go, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa, it's this coolest like little leap into the unknown. It's really fun.
So if somebody was being forced against their will to potentially write some jokes and attempt this, can anybody be funny? Is there a structure to writing a good bit?
I mean, there's
How do
definitely
you go about it?
There's talent based, right? I think anyone can do comedy, but I think like I can't play basketball with the way that I'm genetically made up. I'm just a short white guy,
I was going to say, you're white.
right?
Yeah.
But I can play, but I can learn to shoot and do all of this sort of stuff, but I won't be good at it.
Yeah, you're not going to the NBA.
Correct. So there's that. I'm assuming you talk about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, bringing an idea to life is what I was going to say is I've just, I think it's the last weekend of October. I will get back to you on that. But the Geelong Comedy Festival is coming around. I'll have like a 75-seater place. I did it last year, sold it out. You're more than welcome to open that show on air.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Said that?
Yeah.
So that's in October. So that's
October
That'll be
2078.
So I think we should lock that in
Yeah, I like that.
verbally on this podcast now.
Yeah. I think you've
To
just
get
locked
up.
it in. So.
We'll tell the audience this is what's happened.
I think that's too far away. I want to get this over with.
Well, you can do some intro. You can do some.
We'll get you to start writing first, and then
Yeah.
you'll see how long it takes to craft.
You can do some practice runs, Al.
So a professional comedian will generally turn around sort of 50 minutes of stand-up comedy in 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how long it takes to.
Okay.
So if you were going to do a special, how long do you reckon you'd have at the moment?
2 years. Oh, I could do a special now, but I've done 3 shows.
And how long's the special go for?
An hour, generally. So it's on the cards.
Yep.
I'd like to do one. The show before I did this one, I did a show about the army. It was all about the army.
Yep.
So I'd like to put all of that together into something. I just need 40 grand to make a special. Savvy. No, but yeah, it's like you just think of something, right? So you go, what do I find funny? And generally it's a collision of ideas, right? And then you just got to figure out what.
So things that have happened to you, start fleshing out a few things. So I've started notepadding and trying to think of things that I think could be funny, but yeah, what is the nucleus, the combination of things that...
You need to find 2 things that are like each other, right? That aren't like each other at all. So I did a new bit this week. I was surprised that it worked because I didn't think it was. And it went from paper to stage in a week, and it was fun. And the core of the idea was that one of my uncles jerks his dog off because he breeds dogs. He needs to collect their sperm.
Still not an excuse, but...
He needs to collect their sperm, right? So I'm like, that's funny, right? And he uses a condom because that's the easiest way to collect the sperm into the thing. I had a conversation with him and I'm like, when do you do this? And he's like, just when I need to. So then my thought process was like, when does the dog know it's like, does it just one day you come home and jerk it off and then it just doesn't happen for 3 months, but it's just at the door every day wagging its tail? Are we doing the thing? We're doing the thing.
Yeah, Pavlov's thing. Yeah.
And then, so I had this idea and I was like, okay, so I've got an idea, but I needed to relate it to someone. So essentially I boiled that down into like 2 or 3 sentences, said that to the audience. And then I'm like, the dog doesn't know when it's ever happening. That's like being married. And then it just...
good.
Yeah.
So then your Venn diagram is dog jerk it off.
Yep.
Human relationship. Where does that slither lie? The slither lies in the timing of when it happens to the 2 subjects, right?
Yep.
That's when people go, oh, that's true. Yeah. And then I pointed to a guy. I'm like, this guy's nodding. Look at this border collie. And he's like, there's your second line. And then you're off, right?
Yep.
And then, so it's the collision of ideas together.
And those 2 things that we never would have put together before.
Yeah. So Tim Ferguson, Australian comedian. Tim Ferguson. Old school.
Yeah,
Don't forget your toothbrush.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doug Anthony All-Stars.
Don't forget your toothbrush. It was one of the best shows.
Very good.
So upset.
I've done a lot of... he's mentored me a lot, done a lot of lessons with him, done a lot of that sort of stuff. He said one of the best sentences ever. He said, a joke is just a surprise that makes sense.
Yep.
And you need to spring it on your audience and tell them something they already know before they know that they've known it.
Yep.
So like telling something a joke, the best compliment you can get is when someone laughs and goes, that's true. And you're like, yeah, they already knew it.
Yeah.
So we are hiding language. Okay. So you dig a hole in the ground, you put spikes in it. That's your punchline. That's the thing that makes people go, oh, right? The real comedy is putting leaves over the top.
Oh, gotcha.
So then they fall into it. Because if you say too much, then you're like, he's talking about dogs being wanking, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be about like husbands and wives.
Yeah, true.
And then it's like when the trap's sprung, you're not near it. So it's like writing comedy is like a puzzle as opposed to writing like a word count like you would with a novel where you're like, I need to write 1,000 words. Sometimes you might just have 6 sentences that you like tinker with for 2 weeks. And you're like, but what is the right amount of everything in this thing to like work? And then you take it to a stage and then it gets nothing and you go, I like the punchline, but I don't think they're on board, right? And then you take it away and you sort of like, it's like a laboratory and like a fucking this tinkering process. And then one day it works and you go, I just had to.
So can sort of any 2 things can be funny, but it's up to you to make that link in the right way.
Give us a subject.
Get the laugh. Toilet paper.
Okay.
funnily enough.
Give us something unrelated.
Camo roll toilet paper.
Can I borrow your notepad and pen?
Yeah, go nuts.
Okay, cool. So you got toilet. We'll just do toilet, right? So toilet is under one column, right? Now you give me another subject.
As in, like, just
Anything.
I don't know, walking the dog.
Dogs. Walking the dogs. Okay. So the first thing I'd do is I would look at the idea of toilet, and then I would start ideating all the things that go into it, right? So I would be like morning, sitting, right? I already know there's going to be a sitting in dogs.
Yeah.
See how that works already? Give me word association for toilet. Go. We'll try to do this quick. I'm not sure if this is a real podcast medium, but
Yeah, I know. It's definitely. It's weird using them for
Morning coffee.
coffee.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-workout.
Pre-workout, right? Sure. Give me two more.
Sending inappropriate photos to workmates.
Okay. Photos of workmates.
Do you want to name him or?
No, but I've received too many.
Now give me for dogs.
People that don't pick up.
Beg. Toilet bag, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Off leash.
Off leash. Yeah.
Shitting on grass.
Shitting on the grass. Okay, cool. So I would then look at this and go, I want to make a joke about toilets and dogs, right? So I know that there's like sitting is probably the two things that would immediately come out to me first, right? So I know I can make a joke from this, right? So I'd be like, going to the toilet as a human is a lot like going to the toilet like a dog. You both shit on the grass, and you're like, "What?" And you're like, that's, you know what I mean? And you're like, you can have like you think it's going to go down one way, leaves, and you're like, "What?" And then you go grass, and you go twist into the pit, right?
Yep.
So you can use something that, like with sitting, there you go. I think I can say this there. That they're going to make them think that, and then I'm going to switch it on them in the end.
Yeah.
Right.
And you had a pause there. So we were thinking already.
I'm going to give you the time to create something of which then I'm going to like exploit the other way around.
Do you
make sense?
Yeah.
But you can do that and then there's like 1,700 different angles to approach that particular thing, because you're kind of writing something that is going to be funny, but really you're writing something that's going to trick someone. You're tricking people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
True. Because Jimmy, I find a lot of the Jimmys, like he used to do a lot of real quick one-liners, whereas now he's sort of gone more into more of a lead up. And he tells this big story where you're like, oh, yeah, this is a punchline. You've got it. And then it's completely different.
Yeah. So he's leading him down the garden path, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I did not realise that there was actually work involved.
It's all this.
Telling a good joke.
When you have like someone's office, there'll be like whiteboards and stuff, and then you might be like figuring out, because you're like working with new ideas, right? You're making something that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And for that, like if you thought that was a good line, for that to end up in a special in a year's time, you would play with that so many times. The pause, you'd work on the
18
pause
months.
and you'd work on the intonations and stuff until you could nail that.
Well, I would probably write 16 different things under toilet, 16 things under dogs. If I got stuck or I found like 6 of them that mattered, then I would rub them out, but put those 6 down. I would write 20 things under each 6 other subtitles until you start getting some really connective tissue in some ideas, right? And then you go, well, I didn't want to actually write a joke about dogs going to the toilet at all. It's actually about how people do what they do with the toilet, you know?
Yeah.
And then you start getting enough ideas to create a new idea, or just trying to find like a new idea. And it's just simple as, sometimes they fall out of the sky, and sometimes you really got to work on them as well. And sometimes you just got to follow what excites you and what, you know, like I heard the word cunnilingus the other day. Like, you know what that means?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, heard that. I was like, that's fucking hilarious. That's a very funny word. I want to do something with that. So then I had a joke a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, went on a date with a girl, and she said, I'm really into cunnilingus. And I said, I've got no idea what that was. I thought that was her favorite Roman emperor. And she said, what are you into? I said, Mussolini. Right? And I go, cool, we're playing with some funny things here. Then the next line is that fellatio? I said, no, but he's my favorite composer.
Yeah.
And it's like, so then there's this issue that just comes from, I like this word.
Yep.
And the Venn diagram of that is just like that and
Playful.
Roman. And then so then the characters involved with that, and me, I don't know what's happening. But she does. But then I've confused her. So she doesn't know what's happening either.
Yeah.
And then the roles of who is changing.
That's funny. Because I literally just thought comedians sat around just throwing shit at each other to see, and then like, hey, that was funny, actually, we'll run with that.
But what we do as a performance art is we will hide the work from the audience. So we make it look like good comedy looks like you don't see any of that. Good comedy looks like a one-way conversation. It looks like things are coming to you, and then you're asking the audience stuff, and then you're doing a joke about that. But really, you then get into like, I've got this thing I want to talk about, but then what is the audience question? To then, no matter what they answer, I can then go on to what I originally wanted to say in the first place. It's kind of like cold reading in a way. I'm feeling a J. Is it your grandfather?
Yeah.
Do you like dogs? Like, I've got a cat. You're like, yeah, fuck cats. Like, here's my cat thing.
Yeah.
But if they said dog, you're like, I don't like dogs. I got cats. The cats go like this.
Yeah.
It's like it's all very much an act, and making it look slick is the real skill, because you can see if it isn't.
Yeah.
And like communication in general is, 80% body language or non-verbal? Is that even more so with comedy, or is it just, translates to normal language?
You can start being like on stage, you can start explaining things in a way that will, if it's going to be really fucked, right? Then you can be really like joyous about the explanation. So then when the fucked bit lands, it emphasizes it, right? You always want everything to fall off as big a cliff as you can.
Okay.
Either way, if it's like dark and then it's silly, to avoid a groan and get a laugh is you can go dark, 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 wee. See, and then it's different, right? And it works the other way around. So I do this one joke and it's like, I reckon it kills 90% of the time, and 10% it's like, you're the worst human being in the world.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to figure out how to do it. But I'm talking about, do you have Joseph Fritzl?
Oh, God.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, Austrian guy.
Had all the kids in the basement and stuff.
Yeah. So
he had sex with his daughter. He ended up having a granddaughter. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I was doing this bit about him, and it took me ages to figure out, until I had to explain to the whole audience. I was like, does anyone know who Joseph Fritzl is? And I always get like 5 fucked up dudes who are like, yeah. 2 like true crime women who are like, nah.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the people are like, what? And I said, if you don't know who Joseph Fritzl is an Austrian guy who has imprisoned his daughter in his basement for 27 years. And then the audience is like, this isn't funny at all. And then I go, he fathered 7 children to her, 4 of which he killed by throwing into a furnace. The audience is like, okay, just death.
Yeah, they're like, dig up, mate.
And I said, when the daughter finally escaped, she ran away. She escaped the basement. She went to the police. The police went and arrested Joseph Fritzl. They threw him in prison. And then they interviewed his wife, and she said that she had no idea what was going on the whole time. Silence. Then I go, fuck boys, where do you find a girl like that? And it was just, I could never get I thought it was really funny that that would be a desirable quality in a woman. But the audience wasn't on it until I took it so dark, until they were like, this is so tense.
Yeah.
And then the silliness broke the whole thing.
Okay.
And it's like dealing with those emotions, those light and dark and the shades and the texture. And it's like cooking, man. It's like you want some cool ice cream. It's like you want some crunch in it, right? And you got to play around with like the right recipe to go, this is a nice balanced joke.
Yep. But you have to be willing to go there, to commit to it.
Dude, you just go either way. Sometimes you do it and you go, do you know what? It's just not that great. And then other times you go, not ready to talk about that particular issue. And then you go, sometimes I've said this thing and it's like, I've just upset everyone. I've come here to make sure they're good and they're upset. And then you just drive home and you go, you just don't beat yourself up about it, and you just get good at failing, and you just learn your own limitations as well. And it's when something doesn't land in the moment, it's your back brain goes, yeah, that didn't work.
You were saying before, when you went from chefs to comedy, you were talking about your mum's input into that.
Yep.
I'm just thinking, and then there's obviously you sort of skipped over it with Maddie, how you was sleeping in your car for like a month to 2 months.
Yeah, so I I was doing open mic comedy 4 minutes for free once a week, and then I loved it so much that I rearranged my work life so I could work morning shifts, and then I could do it 6 nights a week. I would go to every suburb in Melbourne and just be that 4 minute guy. I was like, this is so cool. I was like, if I can just times this by 6, like imagine the progression, right? And then someday someone was like, hey, do you want to do this gig? There's 6 people on, we'll give you $50. And I said, you can get fucking paid for this? I was like, no way. And then that $50 offer turned from, once every 3 weeks and then to once a week.
Being a 4 minute guy doesn't sound that bad anymore.
I was
Apparently
like the
that's
7 minute run.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, right? And then it became twice a week, and I was
Getting
like,
$50 for 4 minutes? Wow.
then I was getting $100 a week, and I immediately said, I'm going to work 4 days a week now. And then I got $200 a week, and then I said, I'm going to work 3 days a week. And I finally had time to just have days to work on this thing that I loved. And because before that I was doing it, I'd wake up about 4:30 in the morning and work on comedy for about an hour, then go to a kitchen and then try the jokes on all the people that I worked with, and then have a sleep on a tram, and then go and do my comedy and then repeat. Which, to my credit, the life as a chef and the life at the military perfectly set me up to execute. And I was like, thank God for all of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I'm ready for this opportunity. Like, preparedness has meant opportunity.
That's when you start having that everything happens for a reason sort of thing, and you're like, I never used to believe in that.
And other comedians were like, how the fuck do you do this? And I was like, duh, this is bliss compared to sleeping in a puddle, right? And then before COVID, things were, you could have more work in the book. COVID really broke a lot of norms, like booking people in 6 months down the line. Usually you would have like a big calendar book out. Now it only really goes to about 6 to 8 weeks. Anyway, COVID just destroyed that.
Yeah.
And I had about 6 months of work in my book. And it was like enough. It was just enough. And I'd saved $30,000 from my previous lives. I had a bit of team more money. I had a bit of bits and pieces around, and that was my rainy day. And I thought, this is the rainiest of all days. I'm going to become a professional comedian, and I've got enough to earn a bare minimum. And if I need to do anything in between, I can chip away at that 30 grand for like 5 years, I reckon, if it just stays as minimum as it is.
Why didn't you do what everyone did and go to HSV? That's the standard default when you got back from Timor.
Yeah. Instead, I can't remember what I got. No, it doesn't matter. I got a rub and tuck. No, so then I was like, cool. Had a going away party at my work. I was like about to do my first ever Melbourne International Comedy Festival. That was the out the gates. When I left work, doing comedy, getting ready for the comedy festival, boom, things start closing around, Grand Prix close. You know, like it was just that time. It's weird to think back on that now, but we didn't know what we know now. And it was just like, boom, Melbourne Comedy Festival closed, Sydney, boom. Like my 6 months just went in like a matter of weeks. And I was a new sole trader, and I didn't get JobKeeper or anything.
And hospitality, obviously.
My backup was hospitality.
Yep.
And I was just fucked.
Yep.
And I used that 30 grand to not go broke, to not starve.
Yep.
Which took all of it, except for maybe about $2,300 by the time it had all been said and done. And I couldn't afford to live anywhere. And I wish I was like stronger now. I wish I knew what I knew now at the time, because I was just so proud that I just didn't tell anyone.
Yep.
And I just slept in my car.
And you know that people would have let you stay at their place.
Dude, my mum would have fucking just transferred me 20 grand. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My friends would, like, it was just I was just so like, I can do this. And I just didn't want to I was just too brave. And I wish I didn't. In like, it's my only sort of regret in the last sort of few years.
But when you're playing the Palais, it will matter that you slept in your
exactly,
car.
right?
Got some great stories out of it.
And I tell you what, what sucks about sleeping in your car, what sucks about being homeless is it's really shit if you're like a hard worker. I think if you don't have any drive, would be easier than being like,
oh, I'll sleep in my car all day.
This is frustrating. Like, I mean, but the good thing about sleeping in your car is that the sun comes up and you can't sleep in.
Yeah, true.
And you can just wake up and get to work. And I'm not a big believer if everything happens for a reason. I'm a believer that you take advantage of the situation that you're given. Yep. And in that time, the video stuff came about. I had a lot of time on my hands. I had a lot of like, I'm at rock bottom here as far as like, but I've lost all my money that I worked. Yep. I went fucking overseas in the military for this shit, right? You know what I mean? This was supposed to be for my rainy day, and it was raining hard. It was a blizzard.
Yeah.
And out of that gave me everything I got now. But I mean, it's not the universe, it was me. And
I wonder-
I'm glad for that. But I mean, I'm not. I wish I had money.
But the other thing, yeah.
That would be nice.
But I wonder if you hadn't had that cash, then you would have had to have asked for help, and then would you still be in the same spot?
I've no idea. You can't dwell on the path not taken.
But I mean,
no idea. Yeah.
I just mean, I wonder if, because if you'd gone home or someone had taken you in or whatever else it is, would you have worked as hard on your craft as you would have in that month and a half? Because you were like, no, this is what I'm doing. When this is over, I'm coming out hard.
There's something beautiful about having your back to a wall.
Mm.
I mean, you really. I got to see what I was made of, and I was pretty happy with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cold and it sucked, and it just sucked. Everything about it just sucked. I can still feel how much it sucks, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of what I had in that moment.
Side note though, if you had a mate who was going through that and you had a spare room,
I would have given it
would you have been pissed that your mate didn't ask?
furious.
Yeah.
Exactly. I said, I can't explain it. It was just like, I just couldn't tell anyone.
Well, it's
Look,
just,
I knew people. I was catching up with people who walks in the parks. I'm just going back to my place, and it's so.
Did you do the gym membership sharing or anything like that? Or
gyms
just
are closed at the time.
Total gyms.
Because I do that now when I'm on tour.
Yeah.
I've got a gym membership that I just fucking sauna after a gig. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
because I think that is a takeaway. It's like, if you are too proud to ask for something, look at it the other way. If your mate was going through what you're going through,
Totally.
would you do it? But I completely understand and if you hadn't had the 30, it would have been a different spot, but your resilience would be through the roof that you've done that now. But for anyone else who's sleeping in your car, hit your mate up. It's,
Well, what frustrated me about COVID, I don't really have too many opinions on COVID policy. Really, I know you probably got a ringer through it being in the front line of it. It would have been extremely frustrating.
Let's stay in a good direction and just.
I didn't quit my job and start politics for it. No,
I always thought it was the finish line of COVID was always closer than it actually was.
Yeah.
So me being in a car was like, this might be for a bit. And then it always got away from you. There was this weird time when they're like, and we've had 16 today.
Yep.
Cases and stuff. And I'm like, maybe this is, so I never went into it being like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to spend all my money and it's going to make me resilient. And then I'm going to become a comedian I want to be. I was like, in a couple of weeks it'll be better. So 2
weeks to flatten the curve.
So I'll never have to tell anyone about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like a bit of a crawl. Like it just got out of hand.
How do you stay within a 5K radius when you're homeless?
Well, you don't need to.
I did.
You can drift.
But that's the beauty of no explosive abode. Anywhere's 5K from where you live now, because then when you park, now you've got another 5K.
That's it.
You can actually travel the country if you're a nomad.
And just you get to learn cool things when you're homeless. Like you get to figure out where the showers are. So I was like, if you're going to be homeless, go to the beach.
Yeah.
Go to Brighton. Just be in a good area, right? Find out where the good coffee is.
No one looks at you funny if you're taking a shower. You just come out of the water.
And I had good clothes and a razor. You could look not homeless if you want.
You know what's funny? You wouldn't have been paying rates, but you would have been using more council stuff than any time.
You can cook on the barbecues. this is kind of, it's a thing. You get if you get a chair, like a Bunnings chair, you kind of sit anywhere.
Yeah.
And you read books and stuff and
But you'd be like, oh, I love that park. That park was lovely. I go and hang out there, and the beach is nice here, and the toilets are better over there.
Funny thing was, I was homeless in on a park bench, with a table with a $4,000 Mac, and I lay Beats by Dre and stuff, and I was watching YouTube videos, hotspotting off my phone about how to video edit. I wrap my head around this, right? And I was it was just I remember catching myself a couple of times in the moment and being you're the most motivated motherfucker. You go round these guys up and start an enterprise.
Oh, you're doing hard pressed to get any sort of handouts too. You rock up with your Beats by Dre on, your Macs under your arm, hey, I'm really struggling. They're like, are you though?
Yeah. it's a thing. So, but it's worked out and it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
How's your mum feel about you being a comedian?
Loves it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she had a moment where because I kind of sat them down. It was weird. It was like I was telling them I was gay or something, right? I was like, you got to sit down for this. You're going to have to sit down.
Yeah.
And they're like, are we not getting grandkids? And you're like, probably not.
But for a different reason.
We can't afford them.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do this thing. And they'd known I'd been doing it, but probably not it at any form of decent level. And then I said, I'm going to do this thing, and I know it's going to be hard and I know it's going to be difficult, but I've been slowly working away from working a normal job, and there's a bit of proof in the pudding, and I said I'm going to give it a shot. And I said it's going to suck, and it's probably going to suck for 8 to 10 years, but I think I really want to do it. They thought about it, and they were like, "Cool, great, okay, cool. What do you need?" And I said, "I don't need anything." And they said, "Well, your brother started an electrical company, and we helped him buy his first van. They're like, do you need anything from us?" And I said, "I don't actually need anything from you guys. I've got $30,000 on the side, so I'm just going to do that. But if I ever need anything, I'll let you know. But thank you. I appreciate that you think this is worth the same as that, and you recognise that this is work." And they were like, "Cool." They live in Western Australia, so it wasn't until they didn't see me do comedy until after COVID and after it all happened, and then I was finally in the 180-seater comedy club there, and Mum was like 3 seats back from the front, and I was like mid-set, and I used to do this fucking joke about her going through menopause and how just everything's hot. Like it was just everything is hot, and good line too. Like she in the joke she says, "I'm going through menopause." I said, "Jennifer, I've got no idea what that is," and she said, "Menopause is sexual retirement." And then my old man pipes up in the lounge room. He's like, "You only bloody worked part time." Ripper kills the joint every single time. And so I'm doing this fucking tearing them apart, like tearing the whole family to shreds.
Yeah,
because I find it funny. And then I'm like mid set, and I just notice that my mum's crying, and I'm like, "Oh no!" Like this is the first time she's 5 years in she's seen me do comedy. And then after the gig, I raced around the back to catch him in there, and I said, "Mummy, you all right?" And then she said, "I'm just so proud." I was like, "You bitch," the whole time. I was up there like, "Oh fuck, I'm in trouble." And
wasn't the realization you'd been using that story of her for a couple of years?
Yeah. And I'm just really grateful for their support. It sucks when you want to. I got a few friends who are comedians who are more so from ethnic backgrounds where they're like, "I'm going to do comedy," and they're like, "No, you're becoming an engineer," and they have to be they have to hide it or come out as it. They come out as a comedian.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that outside pressure, and I'm fucking thankful for it, because this is hard enough as it is. If I had to lie about who I was or have that pressure, I wouldn't like it.
Have you got a list of your best heckles? Or do people not heckle in a small audience?
Nah, people heckle. It's great. I used to, when I first started, I'd been punching antidepressants for 2 years. So I'd had probably 8 or 9 kilos on me. So I was a little bit jolly. And
jolly.
And I used to, I can't remember what this joke was about, but it used to start as I said I was a fat kid growing up, and some guy just yelled at the back. He goes, "You still are." I was like, "Oh, yeah, that cut."
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's it. So stupid face and you were called fat, and they're the 2 best heckles you've had.
Well, now I really embrace a heckle. So I probably prefer it at a gig than not. I would like an audience that is lively than one that isn't. So I'll take it. I don't really mind.
I think that's another thing I've seen on with online. It's obviously just the bigger stages are less heckling. There's it's a show, it's a performance, it's whatever. Then you look at Matt Rife or Mateo or those guys, and they're literally just there and they just have a crack. Yeah. And they just sit there and
just work with it.
Yeah, just come in there have a crack. Whoever wants to have a go. And that's very entertaining.
We think a lot. If you can think faster than we can. Because it's generally a rule by numbers. It's well, we can go back as long as you want. Eventually I'm going to win. Well,
you have the mic as well. I said that to Al. I said I've sent Jarryd a message on Facebook. I said, and he got back to me. He's like, "What?" And he thought I knew you. And I was like, "No, I don't know the bloke." I said, "I've just had a go at him." And I said, "Yeah, mate, coming tonight, getting some tickets." I said, "Don't suck." And I'm like, "You know what? I'll sit down in the front. I'll give him a crack. If he wants to have a crack, he can have a crack." And I was just waiting. I was like, at some point he's going to have a go. I'm like, "No, but he was quite polite." And I was like, "Oh, that's right." I even said he sucked on there, but it was but yeah, it was good value. But then it was funny because you and the 2 other guys before you were the front row. The guy said it on the way up because the comfiest seats are the front row. And I was like, "I know what you're saying." So I was like, "But you know what? Who cares? I'm going to go up the front. I haven't been to comedy in ages." But it's interesting having it back and forth. And I think it would be...
There's something powerful about being on a stage and being higher.
Yeah.
There's a lot of psychology that goes into it as well.
Yeah.
So you'll find a lot of people will seize up. They might say something and you go, "What's that?" And then they say nothing. And
yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
So
what was really evident too, and I mean, you know, you're the headline of that show, but then you were able to reference things from the two opening comedians. So, you know, you're committed to be there the whole time and listening to what's happening. So is that something you can bring up different references every night from like listening to the opening shows?
Yeah. So you just you get into a state where your mind is like a sponge for everything.
Yeah.
And then you just hear and do, and you don't think about it too much. You go, you just how am I going to explain this so people understand? Hear something, I think it's immediately funny. Do not question it too much further from there. Just trust your wit and just go, yeah. And who cares? Like
it was a good carryover though, because I think, obviously the opener has to come out and then probably deal with almost a hostile audience as the opener.
You seem to have a hardest
job in
job.
comedy.
Yeah.
Being opener, I know because I did it for a very long time.
That's what's funny about it. Like they put the junior guy on to take the hits at the start.
And
Sink
as
or
you
swim.
go up, right? So I was like the junior guy for ages, and then I've got my own thing. But then I'm getting to a point now where I'm the junior guy for the people that I worship.
Yeah.
Bigger shows.
But then I'm the junior guy again, right? And then you want to talk about imposter stuff, and it's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, you want me to? Yeah, you got to do the hardest part. Like, do the hardest part first to get the easy part later. And
it's funny because I never would have picked it as that. I thought it was always you were doing a favour for the other person, but it's almost like the opener's doing you a favour.
Yes, we've got a few sayings in the business. It's either you take the shine off the ball.
Oh, yeah.
You know, get it ready for the thing, or take a few
As in
bullets.
set the bar low, or just like start to work them a little bit.
Because an audience is like an organism, right? And like they work with each other.
Yeah, you're all strangers and
more
stuff at
funny.
the start.
Yeah, so sometimes you got to go out there, and then there's like familiarity in the cadence as well, right? So you're like la 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 boom, la 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 boom, and then the audience start figuring out what's happening, and then they can start having a good time together. And then
it's like a bar. You don't have a bar. Isn't always like they're not all mates at a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a song that comes on. You see everyone sort of getting into it, and like that's the DJ's job to get them on the dance floor.
Totally.
But I didn't think of that as comedy, because when you go somewhere, like laughing's pretty vulnerable. Being open to laughing and carrying on to different jokes, and people are like, oh, if I laugh at that joke, it's no good or whatever.
We've always found a lot of people will reserve their laughter until they know that they can with their friends. Work groups are really hard for this. If you do a work party, like you'll say some dodgy shit.
Yeah.
And then you'll see people go, they laugh like this, they go, huh,
oh. Yeah.
And they look towards their boss.
Straight at HR. What
You
have
think,
I
what's
got?
going on? And then they can often take a while to warm up. So when I go and do my opening stuff, I perform, open for Jamon or whoever, right? And it's like also sometimes their audience is there to see them. Like I did an open spot for a comedian called Mark Norman from America, right? And they're like, I fucking love this guy. And then they're like, who are these three dudes at the start? And it was like difficult. They're like, just get on the thing we paid $150 to see, right? And it's like, that is so cool because like it's like challenge accepted, and it's like if you can win that, then you're no longer the imposter.
Yeah,
like you can. You're only an imposter until you've done it, right? So I just think like it's really cool to like be nervous and be okay with being nervous to the point sometimes when you're actually physically sick, like you should be. Because if you're not, you're a weirdo. And enjoy that feeling, because then your opportunity's coming and you've done a lot of work. Like you've woken up in the morning, you've slept in a car, you've had beats on in a park, try not to be homeless, you've lied to your family.
Yeah.
Like if you can't like take the ball and kick it through the goals, then there's no better feeling when it happens, because it feels like this accumulation of everything you've ever worked towards. And then it's gone the next day and something else comes along to feel imposter about. And that's just how life should feel, hopefully, forever.
When you get sort of like that butterfly feeling, it's normally followed by something that's pretty big thing in your life, like
something
a pretty
that
good
matters.
thing. Yeah, something that matters.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a worse existence in life as if you never feel anxious. I think anxiety's got like sometimes a bit of a bad rap, but I think it's okay. It's okay just to feel how you feel because you're doing something that's greater than you. That's fine. Like when you're running for politics, that must have just been like a constant just churn.
Well, it was funny actually, because I actually just thought, what a rock show. Those people are all useless. It shouldn't be hard. I was a bit naive, I think.
You got in.
No, I haven't.
No, but then you got into it. The world and you were like, holy shit.
Oh, no, it was more money. again, like I met a lot of politicians and I wasn't impressed. It was like, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I held out a little bit of hope that they were actually criminal masterminds and they were super genius, villains. And then I got there and I'm like, oh no, it's
idiots all the way to the top.
Yeah. I thought this is disappointing. I was hoping to find some Machiavellian sort of overlord that was getting involved. I'm like, nah, it's just money. It's the people behind the money that do it. But so that was disappointing. I was hoping for like open debate at certain places where you'd literally have to, like you and old mate would jump on, me and Dan Andrews or Matthew Guy, whoever it was, we're going to have an actual debate about stuff, but not a chance I'd even let you get near that.
Wow.
So it's a real shady sort of scenario.
I've got no desire whatsoever to do that. I don't understand.
Well, it's funny because there's heaps of my mates that make more cash than politicians do. They're like, mate, why don't you just get into business? There's heaps more cash out there. And I was like, because anyway, I'm not getting into it. it's like,
well, at your show, the other thing that was really impressive is, you stayed around afterwards, you went and talked to all the different groups. And again, I was of the assumption that you and Burso had already been talking because he'd already challenged me to do this open mic night thing. So what was even more impressive in retrospect is you only just met us, you had a bit of a chat, and then you offered up the opportunity to, potentially do an opening set. It was pretty humbling, and something we've found in general with starting this podcast is if you're doing something productive, there's a lot of people there prepared to lift you up. Mm-hmm. And that was just one of the first little experiences of that, really, where it started to sink in.
I'm not anything without the people that come and support me. So, I think, I can't remember if we're on there or off air, but we're talking about people messaging. I'll try and reply to everyone who messages. It might not be in their time, but it's on my time. It might be 2 days, 3 days later. But also, I'm fucking. A small amount of people are coming to watch me do comedy now. That wasn't always the case, and I still did the same amount of effort and the same enthusiasm to groups of 8 people when I was like, I've got this stuff together, and no one knew who I was. I wasn't making content. I was just like handing out flyers on the street. Hi, I'm Jarryd Goundrey. I'm doing a comedy show. Why would I come see you? Just trust me. They're like, okay, I won't. And you've got a strike rate of like 1 in 300 and it's just fucking like door-to-door salesman and you're just smiling and it sucks and you're tired and you still got a day job. So you're like, just, working hard and it feels like a blur and my face hurt. My eyes still slightly sting from that whole time. And now like a small amount of people will come from never meeting me. And if that costs me a conversation after a show, that's a really great trade. I'm nothing without those people. And I hope that I could be a small part of someone else getting towards what they want to do.
Well, it's funny, like with like yourself and Matty Morris, like neither of you owed us anything, but the fact that we've both had you on this podcast, like we're obviously leeching off you two boys.
Leech away. I've leeched off plenty of people on the way to the top.
And I promise the bar will be set low opening that show in October.
But it's interesting to see, like, because you speak to some people and they're like, well, what do I get out of it? And I don't know if that's further up or whatever else it is, but it's because like people are starting out and at our level. But there's heaps of little groups that want to get around. They're like, hey mate, we had somebody Guardians, what is it, Guardians Grappling or
Guardians
whatever?
Grappling.
They were like, can we borrow some of your overlay? We'll tag you and that sort of stuff. I was like,
sure.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for starters, they could have just stolen it anyway. Like we didn't have a say in that. But
yes, the internet. There's no ownership.
But like the fact that you said something and they're like, we want to get this because it's going to assist us to help people actually train and stuff because you had a good point.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people, this has changed my life. Doing comedy has changed my life.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sitting here talking about it to people who care. That's hilarious, right? I have people all over Australia that it will now sometimes come back and, like we might not be friends, but like we know each other and I'm interested in their life and I want them to win and I want to see them. I hope they stick around. Sometimes they won't. Some people come and go as well, which is fine. Some weirdos come and then they go, which is better. You get cornered by like 45-year-old mums. It's the best. Like they're just like, oh, I've been following you for ages. And you're like, have you got somewhere to stay? I'm like, I do actually. And like,
don't follow me to my car that I'm living in the car park.
Yeah. And it's changed my life. I mean, from not really associating as a veteran as well to then putting myself out there on the internet. And now like I'm a weird element of the veteran community. Like I'm back in a big way. And that's
well, that's how I met you.
That's cool.
Through the whole veteran thing, yeah.
That's a thing. And for 9 Navy cadets on Anzac Day who were harassing me just to say something they hadn't heard before, although annoying, is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. And now they dislike you.
Yeah, and it's like, because I got to live my life, right? Because one day we're going to be old and no one's going to think we're anything. The kids will have their own thing going on. New people will take everyone's spot for every position ever.
Except for Jennifer Kite for some reason.
Who's that?
Jennifer Kite.
Who's that?
She's been a newsreader for like 40 years.
Is she
I don't know.
immortal?
She's still, I don't know. She's still on there.
Yeah. What channel?
I can't tell because I only watch YouTube now. But
7, I think.
yeah.
But we've only got to have our life that we live to look back on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, enjoy it because, I don't know, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, ironically, I'm actually quite looking forward to embracing this challenge because I think we need circuit breakers at different stages of our lives, and this kind of comedy as therapy is really interesting me. So
yeah, it might feel like not therapy the first time. But
yeah,
it will be for me.
Well, maybe even the trying to write for me at the moment will be quite a productive thing. So we'll see what happens.
There's joy and there's benefit in like fucking extreme stress, right? When you've got something 3 days away and you're just like physically unwell about something that's going to happen, that's good for you, I think. It's like a cold plunge. It's like for your mind.
And Kapuka, like after you finish Kapuka, it's funny. During, you're like, not so great.
Yeah.
But afterwards, it's some of the best stories of your life.
Yep. And it changes you for the better.
Yep.
So,
and especially
we're
now.
locking you in?
Yeah. I'm all for it. Yeah.
Do you want to mention any tour dates and stuff you've got?
Nah.
Okay.
Just Google. Yes, all on the internet. Give us a follow.
Right.
You'll find me.
Buy some toilet paper.
Buy some toilet. I'll
run.
quick one about
Yeah,
Can we
run
quickly
roll,
the
yeah.
RSLs for 3 minutes?
Yeah, go nuts.
So we invented toilet paper, right? Business model's fine.
It had never existed before.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not get carried
People
away.
were
You didn't
fingering
invent
their butts before. So we were like, essentially stole Who Gives a Crap's business model.
Oh, yeah.
And we just produce it in Australia. It's like the best quality toilet paper in Australia. So we wanted a quality product. And then we can deliver it at like a similar price to like what you pay for toilet paper. It's a fucking no-brainer, right? So we're like, let's raise money for veteran charities along the way.
You're going to check how many ply it is?
Yeah, it's like a
3-ply, of course.
Yeah.
Right. So we have we've sold 5,500 toilet rolls to just mum and dads who want to buy some toilet paper and they want to support veteran charities, right?
it's even printed.
So we're like,
Perforated.
we're like, how easy would this be just to get all the RSLs on board? Because we've got the jumbo rolls as well for like commercial ones. We're like, they already buy it. Let's get involved. And then we can raise tens of thousands of dollars for veteran charities, right? Do you know how fucking hard it is to get in touch with anyone from the RSL about anything?
Well, dudes over 80 don't really check their emails all that often.
I couldn't even get a reply back. Because I have, first of all, this first one I had was I wanted to do a comedy tour. So I was like, let's go to RSLs. They got stages, they got music, they got EDM lists, they got everything you need. And I'm like, essentially words to this effect, this is how my email goes, like in a more business sense. Let's all make some cash, right? You want to make money? I want to make money. We're all going to make some money. And they're like, but how does it work? And I couldn't for the life of me get anyone to like logistically make comedy happen at an RSL. And I was like, fuck that. So anyway, got the charity angle with the toilet paper. Once again, I just can't, there's all these old fuckers in these places that have lost so much connection with why the RSL was started, for a place for veterans to come when they return back from war. Now you walk into a lot of these places, especially ones with pokie machines, and there's not even a veteran in the building. And it's a bistro and essentially a casino that sells everything that is toxic to people's mental health and doesn't help veterans at all. So I think it's a no-brainer that they need some good karma and should buy some fucking toilet paper and give back to the community that you turned your back on.
Sounds like it's harder to sell toilet paper than get people to a comedy show.
They're both difficult, but yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to start some beef, what about bikie gangs? They were supposed to be blokes coming back from the war and it was a place for them to go. Now
They'll buy Dunny Roll?
Good chance they buy meth and everything else.
I'm going to get one bikie. I'll get one bikie. I'll tell you a story about a bikie club quickly before I'm sure we're going to finish up. But I haven't washed my hair in 6 years.
What?
because I was at the Rebels Bikie Club headquarters in Sorell, Tasmania, somehow, getting on the piss with a bunch of bikies who one of the army guys knew. We were just there, 50, 60, 70 people, strippers and stuff. And I was so hammered. And this bikie had fucking great hair. Like he had like the straightest, longest, like grey hair with like a beard.
Yeah.
And I was like, next to him, I was like, dude, you've got the best hair. And he just like, without skipping a beat, he just goes, stop washing your fucking hair, mate. Your scalp can't handle the chemicals. Go natural. I put water only this for 25 years and I've never washed my fucking hair. So don't do it. He pointed at me, he goes, don't fucking wash your hair. So I haven't since.
Oh, so you rinse it.
Yeah,
You don't just like leave
It hasn't had a
bath.
chemical on it since.
Yeah.
So.
It's working.
Bikies, good for something. That's their ad. Bikies, good for something.
Well, it is funny. You leave the army, you've got two choices. You can join the cops or you can join the bikies a lot of the time. Got the similar rank structures.
Which one's toxic?
Wear a
Toxic.
vest at both places.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a good Venn diagram. If you want to write a joke.
Yeah.
Police, bikies, same thing. Yeah.
That might work for me, actually.
Yeah. He was just going to do a whole bunch of self-deprecating stuff, but now you've made him get creative.
Now I'll start to make him think.
Yeah. You,
Challenge time. What do you reckon?
I want to work. Well, I mean, if you've got one, go throw it out there, but
No.
I want to sort of talk to our mate Sean for a bit first.
Okay. You don't want to give any little breadcrumbs?
Are you going to challenge me for something?
Yeah, but I've got a work in progress because yours needs to be a little bit larger. But
All right, I'll fuck a pig.
yeah, that's well, you've already got an hour segment, haven't you?
Oh, what?
You've already got an hour segment that you could do. Yeah, well, there we go.
All right.
Anyway,
That's the breadcrumb.
he's looking at us like that's very cryptic. Where are we going with this? Anyway, yours is pending.
Okay.
We'll leave it with, So my challenge is going to be to open a show for you.
The
in
Geelong
October.
Comedy Festival in October. You'll
That's
be
great because
opening my
I'll probably
show.
know people in the crowd as well.
Oh,
get
you
'em down.
100% you will because they'll be listening to this, and we'll
Bring them down. You'll be opening my show, Jarryd Goundrey, Great Australian Stepson.
So, to save you doing that stuff out the front, do you have a whole bunch of flyers and stuff to get people to come in? Because we have a guy.
I'm at the point now where I don't hand out flyers anymore. Which
Yeah,
is
but we've
this-
got a guy to do that
If
for
we
you.
had to have someone
smallest
do a
of wins.
letterbox drop, what would you?
No, he's not doing a letterbox drop. He'd enjoy that.
I'll flick over the details. So.
Yeah, because we have a bloke who he's a negotiator. He's actually his podcast came out today, but he on the negotiator course he hated going up and speaking to random people. So his job is to get people to come in to then see Al, and therefore you because it's your show. But he'll be up and down the street, so he'll be handing out stuff saying Jarrod's the best. Come see Jarryd now.
This is no longer my show and just this like experiment.
Yeah, we've just
of
hijacked
the
it.
human psyche.
Yeah. You,
But yeah, get out and see comedy shows in general, but go and see
Go and
Jarryd
see
Goundrey.
anything. Like if my final last bit of thing is obviously you guys went and saw a live comedy show. It'd been a long time. You were like, oh, this is greater than normal. If you're ever at a comedy festival and you don't know what to see, my recommendation is go see someone you know, and then either before or afterwards go see a little show in a little place of someone you don't know. That could be the worst thing you've ever seen in your life, or it could be someone in 20 years when you're like, I saw them and we were like one of 8 people. And go and do that more because that's cool. And be cool. Just be cooler.
and also, if you're going to write some crap online, go do a show and throw it out there so we can retaliate. If you want to talk tough?
Say it in person.
That person, you dogs.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd belly laughed in a long time either, and it's probably something that we all need to do more often. So see comedy in person.
Done.
You're going to do the
yeah.
saves Fedora having to try and
outro
work
again.
this out. We probably should have been better at this. But
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
This is the overarching message of the podcast.
Just do it. Just do it.
Oh, we're ad-libbing now.
What's the worst that's going to happen?
What's the worst that can happen? Yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
the new
Don't come and
remix.
show your dogs.